What is going on, Lucid fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to give you a good breakdown of the data points and where things might be going from here. And I want to also talk on some new unveilings from Lucid and potentially what that might mean. Before I get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And without further ado, let's get right to it. So currently up 2.21%. It did have a nice push to $8.30 today. So it did transition from the lower to the higher percentile. Unfortunately, not necessarily enough to keep it there. So it is consolidating a little bit, but generally speaking, that is still fairly healthy. And looking right here, as I've said in the past, $8.20 is a very big pivot point that you really want to watch for, which might potentially come tomorrow or either early next week. So that's something definitely to continue to watch for. I'll give you a good overview of everything else as well. So for instance, right now, Stochastic did go up from very much oversold to around neutral, but it still does have that deviation. So black line above the red showing a nice bullish sentiment is behind the scenes. And you can tell generally as well, it's just started to trend up based on the stock price. And a number of retail investors strangely are down or getting out today. So I'm not really understanding why in that regard, but I'm not a financial advisor though, so do you guys' own due diligence at the end of the day. There is a couple unveilings that did come out recently from Lucid. Today was the most anticipated one, Apple CarPlay. And when it comes down to Apple CarPlay, I think that one was supposed to come out early of, I think, Q1 or Q2 of 2022. Unfortunately, it kind of just fell by the wayside, but it looks like it is now standard on every Lucid Air. So definitely that is a very positive sign. And of course, that might allude to something Apple related linking in the future, maybe. But on a side note, I guess a lot of automakers use Apple CarPlay. That's more of a standard. So in general, though, regardless, I think this is a very positive sign, especially anything in regards to Lucid stepping up their customer satisfaction. This will definitely do that. As well, there was this that was posted a couple days back, and this one is more oriented towards the Gravity. And so it does look like there's going to be 30-inch monitors in Q4, meaning the Gravity is potentially getting ready. And again, as I've said, this is going to be one of the only big catalysts for 2023 is this and the Peer just really ramping up. So in general, whenever they do announce that, and like I said in previous videos, I do anticipate it based on what they said in Q3, it is going to be completed by the end of Q1. So maybe in a week or so, they will be unveiling the Gravity, and that would be absolutely huge. I know I keep saying that because it's very true. It's very, very true. This is going to be something very positive. Of course, it has to be a good price point as well. There was a good article that did come out recently that I do want to share with you because a lot of people get very doubtful on Lucid. I see that all over, whether it be Twitter, StockTwits, or whatever it is. A lot of people are doubtful on Lucid. But just to put it in perspective, because even what Powell did say that basically he wants to keep it at, I think, 5.1% for an average, give or take, if I remember that correctly. But he's just going to be monitoring the data to potentially see if it does need to be increased. But regardless, it's a high interest rate environment as of right now. So a lot of companies that do need debt or that are relying on debt are just going to suffer so much more. But in Lucid's case, in this article, it talks on right here, not healthy, but has a few ways to cheat death. I'm just going to save you guys some time. I've already talked on a lot of the red flags that have been around with Lucid. This talks about it quite a lot. But in the end, though, they have the PIF. That's something that sets Lucid apart from any other startup, any other automaker. They have the PIF behind them. That is basically going to guarantee Lucid's success. And based on the recent conferences that have been happening in Saudi Arabia, it just goes to show behind the scenes as well what PIF is going to be connecting. And of course, we don't know bigger picture kind of stuff yet, but Lucid is going to have many, many strategic partnerships as a result of the PIF in the coming years. So in general, take advantage of these prices because in, like I said, 2025 or onwards, there's going to be a huge run up with Lucid, and that is largely, like I've always said, because of the PIF. So in general, I saved you guys a couple of minutes to not read this article, but still, generally speaking, it's a good article to have. And on a side note, if you are looking for a lot of good articles or just stats, SEC filings, whatever it might be, take a look at Seeking Alpha. I do have a 7-day free trial for them in the link in the description below and also the comments. So pop over there, and it has a lot of good stuff, like I said. So SEC filings, and so the latest one was the definitive 14A. Oddly enough, I've already covered this, but I have gotten a lot of comments on Twitter about this, asking for me to explain it, which I'll definitely do that. But when it comes down to this upcoming shareholder meeting, not to call it boring, but it's just for the most part pretty standard stuff. There's nothing really risque potentially. So just save you guys some time on that. But outside of that, I'll just give you some good data points that you need to know, one of which is what shorts are doing with Lucid very much green. So short score is 84, utilization is 100%, and currently shorts are increasing 144,000 shares. But in the grand scheme of things, that's just kind of a drop in the bucket, considering there's 140 million shares being shorted, which works out to be around 21.82% of the free float. Cost to borrow has gone up, dropped a little bit this morning, but for the most part, it's around 18%. That is the average. As far as options, kind of mixed, but for the most part, very much oriented towards a lot more calls being purchased, which of course means that there is upside anticipated. But as I always say, options don't necessarily move the stock price. It's just more of a sentiment. So just be aware of that. These are all the transactions so far today on the secondary market. So kind of a step back, as you can tell, because unfortunately over the last little bit, you do see a lot of big money getting in versus today. So it goes to show maybe behind the scenes, institutions are still waiting to kind of have the result of what Powell is doing. These are all the transactions on the dark pool. So once again, kind of similar to the other days a little bit. So a little bit less buying. But overall, like I said, based on this article, it goes to show that the PIF is going to pretty much guarantee Lucid success. So prices like this in the coming years are going to be a dream in reality. So once again, depending on your time horizon, if you feel that this is a good time to buy, then do it. Especially if you do feel it's going to be $20, $30, $50, $80 in the coming years, then yeah, definitely take advantage of these discounted prices. If you have been taking advantage, let me know in the comments below. Always greatly appreciated in that regard. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Always greatly appreciate that. As I've said in the past, make sure you guys take advantage of this promo only up until March the 31st with moomoo. And just by signing up, you get one free stock. And each stock is valued up to $2,000 just in among itself. That is a crazy deal. Link in the description below and also the comments. And without further ado, I appreciate you guys watching. Let's all make a lot of money on Lucid.